Hey there, welcome back to Coding with Drew. In the next few videos, we will learn about Document Object Model in further detail. Now that we have a number of tools in our belt, such as variables, arrays, data types, and we've had exposure to functions, we're going to learn about the DOM so that way we're set up for success with our first project. At the end of the day, the purpose of JavaScript is to manipulate the DOM. Let's learn this key piece of the puzzle. Document is the object to focus on when referring to DOM manipulation. The document object allows you to create, edit, and remove HTML or CSS in order to manipulate anything on the DOM. First, you'll need to follow a specific process of selecting and manipulating its properties and its methods. What you can see in the image above is the DOM tree. This is completely fictitious and just a visual representation of what happens in your browser. The DOM tree shows all the elements of the HTML, and below them are their children. If you wanted to select the H1 tag, it would be a child of body and a parent of the text node DOM lesson 1. The DOM truly unlocks the power of what JavaScript in its various flavors can unleash. Every browser with inspect tools allows you to view the DOM like you can kind of see in the image above. This is how the browser understands how a web page looks and acts. It's not a visual representation of what you'd see in the browser window exactly, but more of a tree of objects and their properties that we humans can understand. The way browsers handle JavaScript is that it will load an entire script top to bottom before moving on to the next line of HTML. This is important to know. This is key when determining when and where to call your JavaScript within the HTML. If you call it too early, like say in the head, to manipulate something that's in the body, well, the body hasn't loaded yet. So the script will run, error, and then the rest of the HTML document will continue to load anyways. It's typically a best practice to add JavaScript that manipulates the DOM to the bottom of the body tag below any dependencies of your JavaScript file. So like right here, right before the closing body tag. Examples of dependencies are jQuery, Popper.js, for Bootstrap, which if called after the script tag from your script in the HTML, it will not work correctly. A workaround to this is to add some arguments and get really creative with document add event listener, but we're getting way ahead of ourselves, and I want to take this step by step. So, what are the steps to manipulate the DOM? Well, there's 3 of them, and I want you to know this and be very, very aware of this. Anytime you're writing code in JavaScript, you're going to be thinking in these terms. First step is to select an element, capture it as a variable. Then you're going to script it and make it change to whatever you want to happen. And then the third step is you're going to add event listeners that will trigger when an event such as a click occurs. We'll get into event listeners soon. Let's talk about selecting first. The old way to do this was to use some of these that are on the screen. While it's useful, it isn't really necessary to learn anymore, but definitely good to know it exists for reference. It used to be that JavaScript's DOM tree was kind of broken before ES6, but recent updates with JavaScript, specifically with the method query selector and query selector all, you can select parts of the HTML exactly as you would with CSS, making it a little bit easier for everybody. This also kind of makes jQuery a thing of the past. We're not going to learn jQuery for that reason. So, for example, if we wanted to select a p tag, you can select it creating a constant that looks something like const p equals document.querySelector, and then inside the parentheses, a quoted p. You can do the same thing with classes, IDs, anything that would identify your specific element that you're trying to edit. Another cool thing that you can do is create a const as a method of a current query selector. Here's what I mean. In the example, you can see that I create a const UL, and I use document.querySelector to select a UL, or unordered list. Then I create another const called LI, and it's based off of the UL, the unordered list. So that I created here, I create a query selector all, which will select all the list items inside of the unordered list. And then it will save those as a list item. So we have selected list item. That wraps up this section on DOM and selecting. In the next video, we'll discuss DOM manipulation. I'll see you there.